So why are we talking about Jesuit principles? Well, you are at Marquette, which is a Jesuit university. It is one of 28 colleges and universities in the United States that are based on the teachings of St. Ignatius of Loyola. And so you want to get to know what are the underpinnings and the principles on which the university is based. The other thing is that you will find that nursing very much aligns with the Jesuit principles in what makes up nursing and caring for others. The first principle of Jesuit teaching was that of gratitude. It was one of the first things that Ignatius determined when he was going through the challenges of his life, was that he was going to develop a sense of gratitude for all that was going right for him. And this is really where we start from in the Jesuit tradition, just being thankful for all of the gifts that we have each and every day. And as you go forward as a nurse, you are going to want to do the same thing. You want to always go into nursing with the approach of being grateful for all that we have. So here is the word cura personalis again, as we had talked about in caring. Again, it is the care for the entire person with an understanding of the uniqueness and the individualism with which each person that we encounter will come forth. A sense of spirituality is also very important in the Jesuit principles. There is a difference between religion and spirituality. Religion is a prescribed set of rules and behaviors that are meant to reflect reverence towards a deity. Spirituality can be more individualistic in that it is a way to live out the yearnings of one's heart. So that is going to be very, very different for different people. Very often, again, in nursing, you will hear people talk about how it was a calling or it was something that came from within. Discernment is the ability to perceive those around us or an environment without judgment. So this is looking on a new person or a new experience with fresh eyes, where you don't have the shadowing of previous experiences or previous misconceptions. It's a really very important part of decision making because we want to be able to look at the experience fully and not be clouded. It is also very important in the role of the nurse that you are looking without judgment. Imagination is another principle of Jesuit tradition that allows the imaginer to envision things, not just what they see in front of them, but how it could be. Again, in nursing, this is very important when we are working with people who may not be at their absolute best at that point, but we can envision and continuously strive for them becoming the best person they can be. The Jesuit principle of genuineness is the idea of looking beyond the superficial, looking beyond the surface of any environment we see or any person that we encounter to get to know the true meaning of that experience, to get to know a person, get to know a situation. So the fact that we are surrounded by poverty, we are surrounded by people living in violence, and yet we can go on day to day without having it impact us. How are we going to overcome that? How are we going to get past that superficiality? In order to overcome superficiality, we need to be looking deeper. And when we are looking deeper, we need to look at what can be fixed by us. Again, this goes back to what are the resources that we as nurses, as a community have, and how can we bring those forward to bring everybody up to an equal footing. So we may not be able to fix everything for someone, but we continuously strive to create a better society and to improve people's well-being. Transformation is the constant improvement that can happen for not only our patients, but for society in general, for nurses individually, and in our realm in healthcare. And lastly, Jesuit principles of reflection are very important. They're crucial in development as a Jesuit and as a nurse. The idea of reflecting back on your past behaviors is a way to improve who you are. So looking back on how you interacted with someone, how that could be changed, and trying to put that better foot forward. That priest was Father James Groppe. He was working with the housing rights organizations in Milwaukee in 1960s, and they held the 200-day march for equal housing. It was a protest march that lasted, again, for 200 days, and they would cross the 16th Street Bridge. That is important for us because it is the bridge that is just outside of Clark Hall here on Marquette's campus. So when you come to Milwaukee campus and you go across the 16th Street Bridge, or you look at it, you will know its historical significance. We spoke about servant leadership when we were talking about caring, and here is a more in-depth definition of what spirit leadership entails. These are some of the characteristics of servant leadership. As you can see, they are far more often looking at observation rather than on verbalization. So listening, awareness, and proactive thought. These are all things that are important when we are trying to create an equal terms relationship with those we are serving. And lastly, how the nursing role takes many of the characteristics of servant leadership.